Hello everyone. In this guide, we will look at a power hammer mechanist build for open world that offers very high damage with very high sustain, with 100% quickness and fury uptime, and can generate 25 stacks of might very easily. This guide was recorded from one of our live streams on Twitch, and you will see some footage for the fights at the end of the guide. Keep in mind that you can only equip hammer on a mechanist if he has the new expansion Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure. As you watch, if you found the guide helpful, please subscribe to support the channel and see more guides in the future. And if you have any questions about the build or anything that was not clear, please let me know in the comments below. In terms of the gear, we're going to be using Berserker armor and Berserker weapons. For the runes, you're going to have infiltration and you're going to have rifle and hammer. You will need both, by the way, because there will be some times where you need the rifle for range situations and the hammer is only going to be good for melee. The rifle, we are going to have generosity and strength. And on the hammer, we are going to have generosity and clarity. And then for the trinkets, we have Crusader. We are using a full set of Crusader, all of our trinkets. And for the relic, we are using Relic of the Thief. Now, before we talk about the traits and the utility skills, let me just show you, because I think some people don't know. But all of this can actually be gotten very cheap from the trading post. I have legendary armor, yes, and everything, but of course you don't need legendary. You don't even need ascended. You can just function completely fine with exotic. And so you can buy full set of exotic gear. Let's go ahead and go to armor. So you can go here, for example, you can do 80, and then you can do exotic, and Berserker will be power, precision, ferocity. You go through the gear here, and it will also tell you automatically if you want to do it as engineer, which basically is going to limit it to the weight, which is great. And so you can see this is basically going to be now 1 gold, because if you type Berserker, you are going to see the next best option, which is going to be like 3 gold. So the difference is huge. So we're going to buy full set of Berserker this way, and also the same will apply to weapons. The weapons can be handled the same way. So we can do power, precision, ferocity, and then again we are going to go for hammer. So you have multiple options here. Iron Fist, as you can see, it's 40 silver, very cheap. And then we will also have a rifle, which will also be very cheap. And the sigils are not expensive. And then we have the trinkets. And even the trinkets are not expensive. I checked the prices. I think a full set is going to be around like 10 gold or something. You can type Agate here, and it will bring it to you right away. You are going to have a full set here. So we're going to have 2 rings, we're going to have 1 amulet, we're going to have 2 earrings, and then the backpack. Just honestly, the backpack is not hugely important. If you can't get Crusader or something, that's okay. But what I always do for open world is I actually buy rare backpacks. And the difference in the stats is really completely acceptable. And then for the traits, we are going to have firearms, 3, 3, 3. And then alchemy, we have 3, 1, 3. And then mechanist, we have 2, 3, 1. And for our utility skills, we have full signets, healing signet, shift signet with force, and the elite. And then we have elixir U as one of our options. So let's talk a little bit about the traits to try and understand how the build works. Now, firearms is going to be where your damage will come from. You will do a lot of damage this way because we have high caliber along with this trait together. They're going to give you a very decent amount of extra critical chance. Both of them combined will be 30. And then also you are going to have basically permanent fury, and the fury is going to give you extra 25. So just from those 3 traits combined, we have 55 critical chance. And then on top of that, you will add to it 30%, and that's without any food and stuff. Okay, and so you're already going to be running with a very high amount of critical chance. And then also you have your fury will give you extra ferocity, and so that will also add up to your critical damage, which is already high from the build and from everything. And so you are going to be doing a lot of damage. And I found that incendiary powder is the most effective one. You will apply a decent amount of burning, and even though we're not exactly a condition build, the burning will still help with the damage. And of course, if you look down here also in the mechanist, we're going to have mech arms, high impact drives, this trait, the middle one. This is going to give us a very decent amount of might. And the hammer, one of the best advantages for it is even just with the auto attack, you will generate a lot of might. And what I found myself doing is I'm very easily, within the first few seconds of the fight, we are capped at 25 stacks of might already. And so this is very good. And then we have, of course, the minor traits that will give you stats that will give your mech stats from you. They will definitely add up and they will definitely help. And then we have this one. I again have tested some, I have done some testing and found that this will be the best one out of the other three options. Then we also have the Jade Mortar. This is also going to be the best option here amongst all three of them, and this is going to give us a lot of quickness. Now, with that being said, you're actually going to have 100% quickness most of the time because you have quickness from this trait. Basically, all of your tool build skills are going to give you quickness. And then you have Sigil of Clarity on the hammer that will give you quickness when you interrupt or when you disable an enemy. And you have your skill number 5 will do that. And also your mech will disable with a couple of their mech skills. So you're going to proc that very, very often. And then we have Elixir U that will also give us quickness. And so I found myself capped at 100% quickness most of the time. It is very rare that it drops down, and even when it does, it drops down to like maybe 80% or 85 or 90, something like this. It doesn't drop to like 20%. And we're talking in long fight where there's maybe a lot of mobility. Maybe you are not able to disable as often because you missed a couple of attacks here or there. But if the fight is relatively easy and there's not that much movement around, you're going to easily cap quickness 100% of the time, and you will also easily cap might 25 stacks easily. And so those are going to be two very good things. In terms of sustain, this is where alchemy is going to come from. This is where alchemy is going to help us. So we have health insurance. This is actually going to increase the healing you will do to yourself, and you have few of that. So rectifier signet is going to heal you every second, so this will be very good. And then we have compounding chemicals. This will heal you when you do some boons. And then you will also apply a decent amount of regeneration, because although we don't have any direct cleanse, but this is also why we have generosity. I always like to have generosity in my open world builds because you will just take conditions, especially in End of Dragons and in the new map, Skywatch Archipelago, and in Amnetas, you're going to take conditions. And so instead of having to worry about having a condition in your build, you can just have generosity, and it is going to help a little with that. And so you will find yourself proccing regeneration often. And with this trait, it will synergize very well, and you will end up doing a very decent amount of heals from regeneration. And then, of course, we have Iron Blooded. This is going to reduce the damage we take and the condition damage by 2% for every boon. And you will have a very decent amount of boons as you go. And so you will have about at least maybe I want to say 6 to 10% damage reduction just from this trait. And this is significant. And so this will help a lot. And so this is how our traits will work together. And then we have also Force Signet. This is going to help with the damage a lot. Now, those are not the only options. There are other options we can have, especially in terms of the utility skills. So for example, let's say you want a little bit more CCs. Then we can have Battering Ram. Whether because you need it for breaking bar in open world, or maybe you are doing some casual strikes or something like this. So CCs from Battering Ram can be very good. Or let's say you are really struggling with cleanses and you need more. Then of course you can have Elixir C for the extra cleanses. Another thing is, if you need some passive sustain, Barrier Signet, it may not seem like it's a huge deal, but just having it on passive, it already reduces the damage by 10% and the condition damage by 10%, and it will synergize very well with Iron Blooded, and it will also reduce the damage significantly. And for the record, anything that reduces the damage by percentage is very, very good, even if it's just 5% or something, because basically that's the whole idea behind toughness. Toughness reduces the damage by a certain percentage. And as you can see with our gear, we're going to be having a very high amount of armor. Now, keep in mind that I have full legendary, so I'm probably going to have this number a little lower, but it's not going to be like 2000. And so it will still work very well with Iron Blooded and with Barrier Signet if you still needed the sustain. So those are options I would recommend if you feel like you don't need the quickness and you need something else instead. So this is just kind of like a quick explanation of how the build works and the other options with it and such. As far as how to actually use the build, so just make sure you are going to have those skills on auto attack, and in case you don't know how to do that, you can control right click. So right now this is the default. If I do again control right click, it's basically an auto attack now, and the mech will keep using it whenever available. And in open world, I found this useful. Like I don't need to worry about my F3 skill, and so this can be very good. You will know it's an auto attack because you will see this arrow around the screen, or sorry, around the skill, and so this will indicate that your mech is actually able to use those skills on auto attack. And then at the beginning of the fight, you will use Elixir U, and then you will use your Hammer 5 for the CCs and for the damage. It will also do a lot of damage. And then you will basically have your skill number 2. And then you will auto attack. So you have Elixir U, and then 5, and then 2, and then just keep auto attack. 3 can be good for 2 cases. Number 1, if you want to just dash forward and maybe catch up with them enemies that are running away or something like this. But also, if you are familiar with whatever fight you are having, you can use your skill number 3 for evade. Like I have used it multiple times because I know I'm about to have an attack incoming that will do a high damage, and so I would use 3 as an evade. Also, skill number 4 is a block. It's a block for 2 seconds. It will do a decent damage, but it's also a block. And not just that, but if it blocked, it will also give you a barrier. And so if you use it, for example, in the middle of many mobs, this will give you a very decent amount of barrier. Now, the last thing we are going to do is going to talk about food. So for the food, we are going to use steak with winterberry sauce. This is going to give us 100 power with 70 precision, and you can buy it from the trading post. And then for the utilities, we are going to have the superior sharpening stones, which is the usual stuff. Nothing too bad here. They can help with that.